Good afternoon. Welcome to another edition of the Madison View. My name is Ralph Scott. I was watching some videos and I noticed that, like I've said in the past, radical right-wing Republicans want to start a theocracy in this country. That's really their true objective. And Trump, of course, is the main leader of that. And like the one guy said, why are the radical right-wing even embracing Donald Trump? Because he's doing everything that they don't embrace. He's not been faithful to his wives. He's crooked in business. I mean, you just name it. He doesn't even embrace any of the virtues that the radical right considers to be what is necessary to be a radical right person. And I saw another video, of course, really just kind of delving off a little bit into Johnson and a couple others. It showed Boebert, I think that's how you say her name, on a podium at some convention or something like that. She was sitting there and said that nobody wants any more of this nonsense and stupid stuff of separation of church and state. And, basically, just like I said, the radical right, that's all they're after, They don't want separation of church and state. And this comes down to, like I said, Christian nationalists, which is what this Johnson fellow is as well, think that they're going to save this country, from the demonic left. I mean, quite literally, the demonic left. But like I said in the past, I mean, this is something that they failed to mention in this whole entire video. I mean, not just. Pardon me, video. My mind's thinking about this. I will continue with the video. But what they failed to think about and even mention or even consider is the United States was based on a very liberal system. So demonizing the left is not only is hypocritical, but it's very nonsensical because it doesn't make an absolute bit of sense. I mean, men didn't control their own destiny and government back in that time frame. The democracy is a republic of representative democracy is really what we are technically. It didn't even exist. I mean, the closest thing we had was Athens there for a while and Rome for a while, and even Rome gave that up because Mark Antony, I think it was, or which one? No, Caesar, Julius Caesar conquered so much land they rewarded him with the king of emperor forever, or the title of emperor forever, because he'd increased the wealth of Rome that much from the battlefield and stuff. It's different times back then too. It's like they're, I don't know, it's just like they're trying to paddle against the current, but yet they say they're not. That works really saving America from nothing. As long as you just leave America how it is right now, don't mess with the Constitution, it's going to be just fine. I know everybody don't think so, but it will be. It will not venture far from this task that we're on right now and on the path we're on right now, because it just makes too much economic sense for everyone not to upset the apple cart. If you have been successful in any career, sports, business, acting, whatever, scientist, whatever, you would be crazy to upset the cart, because you could take the whole entire financial system, all the money you've earned, and just throw it away. You'd be absolutely insane. It makes everybody do, what my grandpa wanted everybody to do, is have some skin in the game. So that's how it all first started out, and we've kind of branched out a little bit now, because things have changed a little bit now. Skin in the game now isn't just land, it's economic survivability because of the way our economy is now. You have to have, homeowning helps, don't get me wrong, because that's basically what he was more worried about. He thought the people who own land would make better decisions on how the country would form. That's kind of delegated a little bit, under Jackson, which I like. I mean, that's one thing I kind of disagreed with him on. Everybody can vote now, not just landowners. But still, today's society, skin in the game comes a lot easier, or I don't know how you would say. You don't necessarily have to be an owner to have skin in the game. You can just have a really good job and you go upset the financial system. The next thing you know, you don't have a good job anymore. It's not quite the same, although it does help, in my opinion, for someone to own land and a home and actually be vested in the country. But he kind of got that from the Greeks. You had to be a landowner and all that stuff from the Greeks to even participate. And you had to serve in the military as well. If you were a landowner, it was required of you. So that's where he got that from. But anyway, I kind of slid off to the side, but really not in one way, because like I said, I'm just trying to address their fear. They're so worried that unless you're like them, the country's going to fall apart because you don't respect the country. It's a very selfish point of view. And I don't know if that word is what psychologists would call narcissistic. I'm not sure. I just consider it kind of weird to think you're the only one and, the only faith in this country that can keep the country going forward. It seems awful bizarre. We've never had one faith in this country, but somehow or another we're still the best economy and basically the number one country in the world, basically, despite all the mess ups that the Republican Party did and went totally into free trade. Basically gave away everything. We're still there. So I don't know. It's the whole entire right wing thing just baffles me. And the other thing I want to address is another thing that really baffles me. I'm not no big time. I haven't read no big time amount into how Israel was formed, but the way I understand it, I mean, British and the UN or whatever, put the Jews in Israel, relocate them there. And I think they had to fight for what they had. But I mean, the reason why they had to fight for what they had is the Palestinians, as far as I know now, backed the Nazis in World War II. So, the Jews felt very justified in taking over the territory. Quite a few people felt justified for them to go fight, a Nazi enemy. So, I mean, unless I understand things wrong, they gave them so many days to do it, and they had to stop. But I mean, like I said, again, I don't know for sure if that's what it was, but I do know back in the 90s now, this much I do know for sure. Okay. Back in the 90s, there was a big time plan to make sure that there was a two-state solution in Israel to end violence and terrorism in Israel. And I mean, there was all kinds of economic plans on the table. There's going to be all kind of international investment into Palestine. Big time money was going to flow into Palestine, and Yasser Arafat turned it down. So this whole entire two-state solution thing that, that everybody put on the table basically got thrown away by the Palestinians themselves. Okay. Because once Yasser Arafat turned it down, Abbas never picked it up. So nobody ever picked it up past that, because Yasser Arafat died very shortly thereafter, and Abbas had the chance to do it, and he didn't do it. So basically, they chose not to pick the two-state solution. So it's the Palestinians who's the one who wants to continue on terrorism. Because, just think about this for just a minute now. If they didn't want to continue on with terrorism, then why are they let a terrorist organization basically run Palestine? The way I understand it, Hamas has a lot of influence over the Western Bank, the Eastern Bank or the Western Bank. I can't remember what it's called. Territory of Palestine as well. Basically a terrorist organization runs the country. There is no such thing as a true government in Palestine. So how could Israel even negotiate a peace settlement or even have a two-state solution with a country that technically in any kind of law-abiding way or treaty way that you would hold them to it doesn't even exist? The possibility isn't even there. So everybody can say what you want to about the Palestinians, getting run over and all this stuff. If they really wanted peace, they could have had it many, many moons ago. They chose not to do it. They put themselves in this situation. And I feel very little empathy for them. And you watch CNN and all this stuff about this propaganda coming out of Hamas hospital, babies dying and all that stuff. Well, I understand it. The Hamas come into villages and kidnap kids. I know at least one. I saw a 7-year-old or 5-year-old little girl that kidnapped who's a hostage. And from what I heard, I don't know for sure, they chopped the little baby's head off. I mean, I don't know this for sure, but they said that that was one of the things that possibly Hamas done. So, I mean, they're just a terrorist organization. And if the civilians would have wanted peace, they would have run Hamas out a long time ago. See, that's the whole thing. That's the reason I say I don't even understand a lot of the immigration of this country from countries like this. Because back when the U.S. was like that, we fought for our freedom. We fought to gain our independence from the people who controlled. We fought for our freedom. We fought for our country. So I don't know. I have little respect for them as far as that's concerned, because in my opinion, if they want to straighten their situation out, they need to fight to get rid of Hamas. And once you show everybody that you're not a terrorist, you're not going to go around, cross a border and kidnap people and murder thousands of them, you'd probably be surprised what would happen. Somebody would consider you a country then, but I wouldn't cross that border again if I was them. Because you cross that border again, I don't think Israel is ever going to hold back next time. I think they'll wipe you out. I really do. I think they'll take Gaza and just wipe it off the map. I don't think it'll exist. They'll export all the people, whoever will take them. And I really just don't think Gaza. I think Gaza will be seized by Israel, I think, next time. And I think they're totally justified in it myself. Because you just don't cross your border. That's something you shouldn't do. That's one of the things that I don't like about Putin. He crossed the border. And that's one of the things I don't like about Putin, but somehow or another, right-wing Republicans are justifying this. That's one of the international things, that, according to UN charters and all that stuff, that's what starts wars. When you cross your border and invade someone's territory, that is the start of a war. And once you start a war, you need to accept the consequences that are going to come afterwards. If you don't willing to accept the consequences that come afterwards, then you shouldn't start a war. And if you're the civilians in that country, what you need to do while Israel's in there and they got them all backed up in some kind of corner, you need to pick up some guns, stick some guns from your head, stick up a white flag and say, here they are. We're going to form our own government now. That's how you're going to end this situation. You've got to round up Hamas and hand them over to Israelis. And then you will get a lot of respect from the worldwide community, and you'll probably solve about 90% of your problems. Good night.